Have you ever heard of terms like Venetian, Neapolitan, or Sicilian? These are, generally speaking, labeled as dialects of Italian. But here's the twist. The truth is, these might not be dialects at all. They could be completely distinct languages, and the same goes for many other regional varieties across Italy. So why do people misunderstand them as mere dialects of Italian? What's the story behind it? Let's reveal this in today's video. Italian is a Romance language from the Indo-European family. It evolved from the colloquial Latin of the Roman Empire and is one of the least divergent from Latin, next to Sardinian. Today, it's spoken by roughly 70 to 85 million people worldwide, including about 64 million native speakers. Italian holds official status in Italy, San Marino, Switzerland's Ticino and Grisons regions, and Vatican City. It also has minority recognition in the Istrian Peninsula of Croatia and Slovenia, Romania, Bosnia, and Herzegovina, and even 6 municipalities in Brazil. You'll also find it echoing in Malta, Albania, Monaco, and thriving immigrant communities across the Americas, Australia, and beyond. As a major European language, Italian serves as the Holy See's main working tongue, acting as a lingua franca in the Roman Catholic world. Its influence has birthed derived languages and dialects globally, sprinkling loanwords into arts, luxury, fashion, sports, and cuisine. Think of all those Italian terms in music and opera that have gone international. Words like allegro or piano that English and others snatched right up. To understand why these regional tongues get lumped in as dialects, let's trace the timeline of Italian's evolution step by step. It'll give us the big picture before we zoom in on the mix-up. It all kicks off in the 5th century with the fall of the Western Roman Empire, ushering in the Middle Ages. Latin was the fancy written language of the elite across Europe, but everyday folks, mostly illiterate, spoke vulgar Latin, the casual street version. Without a central authority enforcing rules, this spoken Latin started splintering into local varieties all over the Italian peninsula. Northern regions such as Veneto developed Gallo-Italic features due to Frankish and Gaulish influences. The south, including Naples and Sicily, stuck closer to pure Italo-Dalmatian roots, with a dash of Occitan poetic influence that followed the Norman presence in Sicily in the 11th century. No one variety dominated. They were all siblings from the same vulgar Latin parent, evolving independently in isolated city-states. The linguistic and historical demarcations between late vulgar Latin and these early Romance varieties in Italy are imprecise, blending gradually over the centuries without sharp breaks. Fast forward to the early 14th century. Enter Dante Alighieri from Florence in Tuscany. He wrote his groundbreaking epic poems, the Commedia, later the Divina Commedia, thanks to Giovanni Boccaccio, in his local Florentine vernacular. These works exploded in popularity, read far and wide across the fragmented peninsula. Then Petrarch's poetry soon piled on, adding even more shine to this Tuscan variety. By the Renaissance in the 15th and 16th centuries, a true rebirth of art, science, and classics, things accelerated. Florence was booming economically and culturally, making its dialect a natural bridge between northern and southern extremes. The printing press spread rapidly, flooding courts across the peninsula's patchwork states with Tuscan Italian. But here's the key. While elites adopted it, the everyday masses kept speaking their local tongues, Venetian in trade hubs, Ligurian on ships, Neapolitan in the streets. This sparked the famous Questione della Lingua, the language question debate, raging from the 1500s into the 1800s. Renaissance thinkers split into camps. Purists like Pietro Bembo wanted a pristine version based on Petrarch and Boccaccio. Everyday folks like Machiavelli pushed for the living, spoken Florentine. Courtiers argued for blending local flavors. Bembo's purism won out, leading to the Accademia della Crusca in 1583, the official guardian of Italian, and its first dictionary in 1612. Still, no unified Italy yet. Just a patchwork where Tuscan held prestige for literature and elites. Jump to the early 19th century. Napoleon's conquest shook things up, turning Italian into a lingua franca for clerks, nobles, and bourgeoisie across the peninsula. This paved the way for unification in 1861 to 1871, when Italy finally became one nation. Soldiers and officials from every region flooded in, sprinkling local words everywhere like Venetian ciao, Lombard panettone. Alessandro Manzoni's 1827 novel I Promessi Sposi turbocharged this shift. A Milanese himself, he rinsed his dialect in Florence's Arno River to write in pure Tuscan, making it Italy's most read book and a blueprint for national literature. Fast forward to unification, and here's where the plot twists. Italy's new leaders needed a unified identity to hold this patchwork of rival city-states together. But linguistically, it was chaos. Only 2.5% to 10% of the population could handle standard Tuscan Italian fluently. Soldiers from Milan mixing with Neapolitan recruits? Words collided everywhere, but schools and media hammered Tuscan as the official one, absorbing just enough local flavor to make regional Italian hybrids without letting the originals steal the spotlight. Manzoni's novel wasn't just a bestseller, it was propaganda for this Tuscan rinse. Let's circle back to our big question. How did this misunderstanding arise that so-called dialects like Venetian, Neapolitan, and Sicilian are just dialects of Italian? Linguists today shred this myth. These so-called dialects aren't actually branches dangling from a Tuscan tree. They're full sister languages, often mutually unintelligible, with histories as ancient and independent as Italian itself. Back in the Middle Ages and Renaissance, there was no single Italian at all. Everyone's local speech, from gritty Venetian trade lingo to poetic Sicilian verses, was on equal footing as offshoots of vulgar Latin, evolving side by side in those isolated city-states without anyone calling the shots. Tuscan didn't just get lucky. It rose with Florence's booming trade, the Medici's patronage, and the cultural explosion of the Renaissance. Add Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio to the mix, plus the printing press spreading their works across Europe, and Tuscan suddenly became the gold standard of Italian writing. But even then, the masses ignored it, sticking to their roots. After all, only the educated elite cared about Bembo's purist debates or the Academia's dictionary, while the Questione della Lingua raged on without settling the score for everyday speakers. Calling them dialects is not linguistic fact. It's history's shortcut for nation building, born from prestige, Florence's Renaissance flex, politics, and unification's desperate glue. Does your home country have similar dialects or regional languages that have been historically demoted? Let me know in the comments below and share which Italian dialect you think most deserves to be recognized as a language. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into language and history.